Just how good is Canada? How can we measure it? What is it like?
It's a great question, isn't it? Listen, the build up to this tournament had two games against two of the best teams in the world, in the Netherlands and in France, and they played a great half against the Dutch, and then got smashed in the second half, to the tune of 4 goals. Then they played France, arguably the best team in world football, with Kylian Mbappe off the bench, and they tied 0-0, which is two honestly decent results, especially in France, 0-0. But they're friendlies. What can you tell from a friendly? France were switched off. They were more concerned about staying healthy prior to the Euros. Same for the Dutch to a certain degree as well. So what could be gauged? Not too much, but we saw some progression within Canada in those two games. So then you go to Copa America, opening match against the world champions, Argentina, with Lionel Messi, with their full strength 11. And it's like, wow, this could be a challenge. And when I saw those 11s, I thought this could be a 4 or 5er. And then I saw this performance put in by Canada, this on the front foot. They didn't back down. They weren't intimidated. They went at Argentina. Their press was really aggressive. And Argentina, I think, were flummoxed at times. They were like, wow, we did not expect this. So what is Canada? They're a really good team who have shown some real evolution under Jesse Marsh, I think. Can they maintain that? Will there be a hangover against Peru on Tuesday? It's possible. But I think we've seen what this team can do, because Argentina, although they weren't great by their standards, they weren't terrible. And to go toe-to-toe with France and now Argentina in a meaningful match, I think it says a lot. My expectations for this team within this tournament have suddenly grown, which I'll probably rue. But at the time, that's what I think.
Well, you talked about 3 games. Did they score a goal in any of them?
That's a great point, Bob. Yeah, they haven't. And that is going to be an issue. But they were creating goals. They were creating opportunities, chances. Will the goals go in at some point? We hope so. They have one of the best strikers in European football this season in Jonathan David. But you're right. That's a big concern. It's how can they finish those chances they do create? Now, I'm glad we're discussing that and not that the defense was terrible, because that's been the issues in the past couple of years.
Well, there were a couple of times last night, James, that there was a little leakage back there.
There was, but doesn't Max Crepeau play for Canada?
Oh, right? I know.
He was good. He is a member of the team. He made these massive saves. And you're right, it could have been 3 or 4-0 if not for Max Crepeau. I understand that. But listen, it's Canada, guys, we're talking about here. Let's take some positive and a notion out of what we saw from this. But yeah, listen, they've got to find a way to finish off those chances. There isn't great depth in attack beyond Jonathan David. The best chance fell to Stefan Eustáquio, who's a midfielder, who's not a goal scorer. Should he have done better? Probably. But they're creating those chances, and maybe against lesser teams in Peru and Chile, they'll convert those chances.
That's a very optimistic viewpoint. I admit that.
I had no choice. I've been,
I guess.
So how for the hardcore fan, they'll be able to tell, but there are those of us that aren't hardcore fans. We get on the bandwagon when events occur. How are we going to notice the difference between a John Herdman tactical team and a Jesse Marsh tactical team?
It's not going to be dramatic. I mean, John Herdman's teams were very, what they call, pacey and quick in transition. So when you win the ball over, when you get the ball back, you're good at pushing it forward again and using the pace of Canada. And Jesse Marsh does the same thing. Jesse Marsh's team press a little bit more aggressively than John Herdman's teams, which means they push up the field the minute the opponent gets the ball, they're on them, especially in their defensive half. So there's some subtle differences. Jesse Marsh's team's renowned. He's renowned for being very aggressive in that regard. He's an acolyte of a guy called Ralph Rangnick, who's a guy who has been around for years in European football. Right now he's coaching Austria at the Euros. He coached Manchester United. It didn't work out there. Prior to that, he was with the Red Bull organization with Leipzig and Salzburg, as was Jesse Marsh. And he's very much a visionary in football. And Marsh really bases his coaching style on Ralph Rangnick and is that uber aggression. It's fun to watch. His Leeds teams in the Premier League, okay, they went down, but they were as much fun to watch as any team in the Premier League. They can see goals. Yeah, they would, but they'd be so aggressive. They'd always create opportunities, and they were brilliant. All right, the year he was there, they were probably the watch of all things in England. They were that much fun.
This Canada team, we have been talking about them for years. and we kind of tried to look ahead to where they would be in the future. Where are they now? Are they at their peak? Are they past their peak? What do you think?
Yeah, they're not past their peak. I mean, there's been a slight change since that team that qualified for the World Cup. Atiba Hutchinson's gone, Milan Borjan's gone, Stephen Vittoria's gone, and even Atiba, who's the most, in my mind, the most underrated Canadian athlete of all time. During that run, he was really past his best, right? Atiba was very much a player who was brilliant prior to that World Cup qualifying campaign. So you got this youth there now. You got Stefan Eustáquio playing for Porto, coming off a pretty poor season by his standards, but a guy that's playing for a top team in a top league in Portugal. You got Alphonso Davies, who's going to probably end up at Real Madrid, a Canadian boy at Real Madrid. You got these kids coming through MLS. Moise Bombito, for example, at the back there. You got Derek Cornelius playing in Europe, being linked right now with big moves to bigger clubs. I think that they haven't peaked. They're going to get better.